your decisions?
In business, I make decisions very intuitively and very quickly. I move very, very fast.
What was the message you had in your head that you want to spread with that book?
The Miracle Hour is really about bringing people back to the basic foundations, the fundamentals of how do you build relationships and how do you make sales predictable and consistent in your business every single day. And it is so simple. Anyone can do it. Anyone can put it in place in their business today.
Do you believe everybody can be entrepreneur?
No.
That's beautiful. I love it, because most of the people whom I ask, they tell me, yeah, it takes time, but yeah, no.
It's just not right for most people.
What do you think that we as an entrepreneurs should focus mostly when it comes to teaching our kids?
I think a foundation in the Bible and a foundation in Christian principles is the number one thing, because abundance is human created. So everything in the Bible is going to give them the life plan. It's going to give them the right mindset.
Do you think that somehow internet and social media glorify the picture of entrepreneur?
I think it is so unfair to people that are getting into business for themselves, because they have no idea what they're walking into, because people that make money from glorifying entrepreneurship manipulate people that are becoming business owners into thinking that it's one thing, but they think that being an entrepreneur means they're going to make millions of dollars.
Was there a fear in the moment of changing your corporate work? You talk a lot about discipline. Where did this come from? Was there ever any belief which you had to eliminate, which kept pulling you backwards? Guys, I need to say something. We're building something really special here. The level of guests, the conversations, the depth we are going in week by week, it's becoming better and better, more and more valuable. But there is one thing which doesn't make any sense. Almost 90% of you who keep watching the episodes, who keep coming back week by week, are not subscribed yet. Which means one thing, you're not fully part of that journey. I get it. It's one click. It feels small. But for us, and myself personally, means everything. It tells the algorithm that we matter, it helps us reach bigger guests and create better and better podcast episodes, which at the end of the day are equally for myself like for yourself. They bring the value. So if there was ever a moment to support us, I please you to do it right now. Check if you're subscribed, and if you're not, it's completely free. It doesn't mean to you that much like it means to us. Just click the subscribe button, and by that way, you will help us grow bigger and bigger. And what I can promise you is that me and my team will continue making improves, and very soon move ourselves to the real studio where we will record even more powerful episodes with same and new guests. Check, are you subscribed? And subscribe right now. Thank you. Kelly Roach, thank you for coming today on this show with me. And as I told you before we even started, is that I personally believe we need more women in space. All what you're doing recently with your new book, with all these women coming to you or masterminds, promoting things which you're doing and you helping them achieving their success, it's absolutely brilliant. So thank you, first of all, for coming today here. And I want to go a little bit backwards and to ask you, who was Kelly Roach before all the fame and success we can see today on the socials and all across the internet?
Oh, that's such a great question. She was the same person that she is right now. Wife, mom, person of faith. My favorite quote in all of life is, be the best that you can possibly be in everything that you do. And that has been my life mantra for, so many years. I don't even know when I started living my life, along the lines of that quote. But I think that's what life is about. Just being your best, doing your best, touching and reaching people, being of service, showing up, fully for the people and things that you love. And that's what it's all about,
Whenever you come to the salesperson will tell you, I know how to help you. We are having perfect solution for you. But in fact, you have a great product, you have a great offer, you know that you can help so many people, but you're still inconsistent. Why it's like that? Because you misunderstand two basic principles. And let me tell you something, it's not economy, it's not war, it's not current president or political situation, none of that. Because simply you and money were always on the same planet Earth. You never left the planet, and most likely money never did it, right? The only two ways are the reason why it's like that. Number one thing which can be the reason is that you don't know the right way of presenting your offer. Number two can be that you don't know the proper way to whom to present it, which boils down to you don't know to whom to sell, or you don't know the right way to speak to the people to whom to sell. I have been scaling in the past 10 years multiple of my own companies and companies of my clients from zero to $200,000 in sales, being in China, selling physical perishable items like food and beverages, and without speaking Chinese, without writing Chinese, and without knowing how to sell to Chinese people. But I knew one core principle, and this is that psychology of people never change. So I knew to whom to sell, and I knew exact way how to present my offer to them. I was scaling up my digital businesses to hundred thousands of dollars, again understanding two core principles: to whom to sell, so who can benefit from my offer, and the way, when, and how to present them my offer. And there is no magic and there is no secret behind that. It's really easy to understand it. But in order to this video be very short, I put all of this together in the school community, which is completely for free. You can join it right now, clicking on the link below in the description box, and you can discover these two principles. It will take you a couple of days to figure it out yourself and to practice it, and then your sales will become consistent. Until then, see you in the school community. Bye for now. Was there a moment ever when you doubt that you are exactly that person to do it?
I mean, I think there's so many points of doubt along the journey, because I think that as an entrepreneur, 99% of the time you're failing. And then 1% of the time you see the payoff of not giving up when you were failing, right? So all of those like billboard moments, which I've had a lot of those billboard moments are the 1% of the time. The 99% of the time is like the discipline that no one sees. It's the failure that no one sees. It's the hard work that no one sees. It's the sacrifice that no one sees. So I think that when you're working really, really hard at something and you're not seeing the results from it, you always have that little bit of doubt, right? But you have to push through that doubt and keep going so that you can get the 1% moment that is a result of the 99% of the time that you feel like you're failing, but you didn't give up.
That's beautiful, but I would like to know how you personally deal with that moment of doubt. Is there anything you specially do or say to yourself that you can simply switch or actually turn the point of view on that self-doubt?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple things, right? I have been a person of faith my entire life, and my faith is a huge part of how I operate and walk through the world. And my belief from a faith perspective is that there is a design, a purpose, and a plan for our lives that started before we were born, which is why we're here. And that our job in life is to show up fully to try to be in pursuit of that purpose, that potentiality, and the capability that we have. And I think a lot of times, even our perspective on like the goals that we set and the vision that we have for our lives is like a fraction of what we're actually capable of. So I just try to keep going back to that. Like, if you have the dream, if you have the desire, like that was planted there for a reason. And it's up to you to keep working to like show up for your own potentiality and show up for your own growth, to try and push past the limits that you've gotten stuck on in the past and become everything that you're capable of being.
Was there ever any belief which you had to eliminate, like a fake belief or limiting belief on your journey, which kept pulling you backwards?
Yeah, I mean, my number one limiting belief was, because I had gotten promoted 7 times in 8 years in corporate, and I was working 60 hours a week as a corporate executive.
Wow.
And I got to the point where I had achieved really high level success there, but I was, looking around at the next step and at the people that were ahead of me. And I definitely did not want to model or mirror anything that they were doing or how they were showing up in life. And that was when I really realized that I wanted to go out in the world and become an entrepreneur. And I needed to figure out how to grow my business as a little side hustle on my lunch break. That's actually where the Miracle Hour came from. That's how
Wow.
this all came about. And that was the first time that I had to completely change my belief system and my operating system, because in the past, whenever I wanted to achieve something, I would just work harder and longer hours, and I would just do more than anyone else. And so, of course, I would be successful, because you know that you will be successful in that way. But then when I was starting to build my business on my lunch break, and I would wake up at 5 in the morning and I would do content. And then on my lunch break, I would do sales. And then in the evening, after I put my daughter to bed, I would do my calls and my launches at 8 o'clock at night. And I had the limiting belief, like, how am I ever going to be able to be competitive? How am I ever going to grow? How am I ever going to replace this income if I only have this really limited window of time to grow my business every day? And so I had to change my belief that it's not about the number of hours that you're working. It's about the intent and the impact and the effectiveness of those hours. And I had to change that belief and embrace that belief to get to the point where my side hustle could replace my full-time executive job. And then I could, in fact, become a full-time entrepreneur.
Was there a fear in the moment of changing your corporate work for entrepreneurial one?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and I didn't quit my job for years. I worked for over 5 years in my full-time job while building my business.
It's very
Um,
beautiful what you're saying here. I must interrupt you only for a second because here is the thing. Most of the people nowadays, when they look at somebody who achieved any extraordinary success, they think, okay, that's gone overnight. And then they start doing it and they
mhm.
quit even before
Yes,
they create momentum. And I so
exactly.
much thank you for saying that because it's very important to people understand that from point of idea to point of seeing first results, it's a very, very big
Yes.
distance.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. I mean, that's why I always talk so openly and honestly about that because I think one of the reasons, and you're exactly right, Nick, exactly what you just said is the truth. So many people quit and so many people think like they're not capable, they're not worthy, they're not ready, they can't do it because they're comparing themselves to someone who literally has been working at their craft for 15 or 20 years. And everyone looks at the end result of what someone is achieving, but they fail to study what that person actually did and how long they've been doing it for and like what it took to get to that point. And so it's very important to have these conversations because I think everyone always feels like they're behind all the time. Everyone always feels like they're moving too slow. Everyone always feels like everyone's having more success than them. But the truth is like we're all right where we need to be. We're all on our own journey. And like it's when we are in a state of readiness for the next level that that next level is going to unlock. And we don't always even know what our own blind spots are or what our own areas of maturity are that we still need to work through to be in a state of readiness to go to that next level.
Yeah, it's actually very hard because, like, when I'm observing myself, it's very hard even sometimes to admit that some of the things I could do on a better way. But if somebody else
Yes.
would see me and tell me that, then I would say, like, okay, that's very much makes sense because, well, simply I cannot do a surgery on myself, right?
Yeah.
I love what you're saying here, and I want only for a moment still to keep on that point of your life and to ask you, when you look back at your corporate life. What was the biggest thing which was misaligning with the life you want? Because for some people this might be salary, for some people this might be freedom, which
Hmm.
I'm not fully agreeing with because I think being
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you basically don't have a freedom. You're always thinking about your next move and you're kind of like programmed. So what was
Yeah.
for you? What was the moment of
Yeah,
misalignment?
I totally agree with you. It wasn't either of those things for me at all, actually. It was actually that I wanted to help people. I
Mhm.
was making a single corporation tens of millions of dollars. I was one of their top producers. I could fund a country probably with the amount of revenue that I was bringing into that company. But I had no fulfillment in what I was doing because I didn't feel that that was a meaningful contribution. I didn't feel like I was actually making a difference with the work that I was doing. I love the work that I was doing. Like, I love leading people. I love sales. I love marketing. I love metrics and driving sales and the growth and all of those things. But I wanted to apply that to actual businesses that were going to impact people and their families and, putting meaningful products and services in the world that actually affect people. So for me, it was more about meaning and purpose and contribution than it was about any of those things. And honestly, I think that freedom and money are horrible reasons to pursue entrepreneurship. To all of your points, because yes, although you do have freedom from the standpoint of you have absolute like control of your schedule and that type of thing. But to your point, when you care deeply about something, obviously you're not just like shutting it off at 5 o'clock. It's around the clock
100%.
operation. And so yeah, and that's, I talk about this a lot, like entrepreneurship has been over glamorized so much in the online world, and it's actually ridiculous because people go into it thinking they're signing up for one thing, and they
Hmm.
actually would be much happier being a really successful person working for a company making great money, taking care of their family, and doing the work that they love. When you become an entrepreneur, you're doing so many different things. And a lot of your time and energy is not actually spent doing the thing that you thought you were going to be doing. Like for me, it's the right fit for me because I actually love the business growth strategy. Like I love the sales and marketing. I love the things that as a CEO, I am required to do and is the focus of my role. But I think for a lot of people, they wanted to do their craft and then they became an entrepreneur and they realized, oh, I have to do P&L management. I have to do accounting. I have to do
Hmm.
operations. I have to manage a team. I have to do all these other things that have nothing to do with what they thought they were going to be doing. And it's because people aren't honest about what it actually means to run a company, right?
Yeah, and you're actually a role model, and I want to reflect this once again. And this is that you actually had the same freedom like somebody else who do the corporate work. Just the point is that while somebody else was having a lunch break, eating some lunch and scrolling reels or
Yeah.
entertaining themselves,
Yeah.
you was using that time way differently. And
Yes.
the same thing, that person who wake up in 5 a.m. and getting ready for the corporate work, it's
Yes.
about how they spend their time and how you
A
was
hundred
writing your
percent.
content and preparing yourself. So basically, I love that you're here today with me so that we can break down that myth. Actually, everybody has the same time on this planet. It's just about
Yeah.
how we use it. And it's
Everyone
absolutely
has the same time. And this is what I say to people all the time. You can still work 12, 13 hours a day. You can work very long, hard hours, and you still have time to pray. You have time for exercise. You have time to spend with
100%.
your family. You have time to do hobbies that you love. It's literally about having discipline. It's not about having time. It has nothing
Uh,
to do with time. We have plenty of time for anything that
Absolutely.
matters. Yeah.
And the most beautiful thing is, as a Christian, and I believe you are too,
Yes.
uh, God gave us this will of choice, and it's all
Yes.
about us where we will put it, yes or no, I do or
Yes.
I don't do it. And this is very beautiful, Kelly. Thank you so much for bringing this up.
Absolutely.
Uh, I want to slowly go now into the some way of success and the way how you think, and to ask you now, when you look backwards all the success you created as well, money you earned through your revenues and helping other people, did this revealed who you are or in some sort change you? And if yes, in which sort changed you?
That's a great question. So it's both. I think money always reveals
Hmm.
exactly who you are. So I don't, it's funny because my husband and I talk about this all the time. Like we live very much the same as we did 20 years ago when we had nothing. I think money just amplifies who you are. I think for me, the change is more about mentally feeling a sense of calm,
Hmm.
feeling a sense of peace, feeling a sense of stability, right? And that's because for me, like I did not grow up in a house where there was calm, peace, or stability. Like there was fighting and arguing about money all the time because my parents were really struggling with money. And so they were always trying to navigate and figure out, how to deal with that, right? So I think that I came from that chaos around money and that anxiety and that pressure and that stress. And so the biggest thing for me is how we feel in our household, which is peaceful and calm and stable.
Hmm.
But from like a personality standpoint, like I've never been a things person. I don't buy things, like I buy books.
Okay, we are same on that point.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that it kind of amplifies what you already are, but I think certainly it gives you peace of mind, which is nice.
Mm, beautiful, because I was thinking that you would mostly say that it didn't change you, but I love how you interpreted that because I believe that most of the people are not even aware because they dream about certain amount of money or about certain award or anything, and then when they get it, they're like, okay, this happened, right? So
Yeah.
what's next? They're kind of
Yeah.
not ready for this.
I
Kelly,
think people over index on the happiness that that brings. Like there's definitely a
Mhm.
diminishing return over a certain level. Like it's very fascinating to me actually that a lot of people they just keep pursuing more and more and more money when they've already gone beyond the point where making more money will have any effect whatsoever on their happiness. And I think that's like a sign of maturity and spiritual growth when you can identify what the enough point is, where it's like you're making plenty to enjoy a beautiful quality life and to be financially peaceful and financially stable, and then to make space in your life to pursue other things. Like for me, homeschooling my daughter is like the pinnacle of entrepreneurship and of freedom and of success to me. It's not another financial milestone, it's creating legacy by taking
Absolutely.
everything that I've learned and actually giving myself the permission to say, I have earned the right to take that time with my daughter. And I can trust myself and I can trust what I've built with the businesses and I can trust the income that we are making, that I can take that step back to apply energy and effort and focus in another way. And I think a lot of people kind of miss the whole point because they're just chasing constantly, but they don't actually pause to reflect on like, what is the meaning and value of life and what am I trying to create and what do I want my actual experience to be? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And as a father of a 9-year-old boy, I fully agree with you what you're saying, and I absolutely know what you're talking about here.
Hmm.
And when everything what you speak, it's very much aligned with the way how I think, and that's why I wanted so long to do this episode with you, because there is another thing which I want to learn here from you, and this is that you mentioned that you grow up in a family where it was a little bit of struggles with money. I grew up in a family where one thing was very hard to change, and this is the way how we make decisions. Back
Hmm.
that time, we was making decisions only cheap versus expensive. Expensive, not for us. Cheap, yes, we can see
Yeah.
how can we get it. And like it took me a lot of time to go through that breakthrough, even in
Yeah.
the moments when I was back working with my own companies in China. I was living 7 years in China, running international companies for import and export. And even when I make some money, I was thinking like, but it's expensive to make that decision. And it
Uh-huh.
took me a lot until I cracked this and start thinking about like, okay, let's make decisions about what is the outcome they're going to create for me.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you make now your decisions? What is the way you filtrate all your yes and no's and say yes or no as a final?
I love that question. I think that in business, I make decisions very intuitively and very quickly. I move very, very fast.
Intuitively
I would
made means on the gut feeling, like, is this resonates
Yeah,
with you
like
and your
my
principles?
instincts. Yeah, like I have very high self-trust and I
Wow.
make decisions very quickly based on my instincts and based on my experience. And if it is the wrong decision, I will course correct. And often I find that I can make the decision and course correct faster than someone else that's still sitting thinking about the decision. So I make decisions in business that way. In our personal lives, Billy and I make decisions together. And we often will talk about important life decisions, sometimes for months, sometimes for years before we make them. And then when we make the decision, it's extremely precise and it's typically always the right one. And so that was like with our move to Florida. That was with our decision to pull Madison out and homeschool her. Like all of our most important decisions that we've made in our life, we talked about for a long time. And then it was
Mhm.
like ready, aim, fire. And it was precise and it was exact. And I think that's the difference between decisions in your personal life and decisions in your business life. Because in the world of entrepreneurship, the person who makes decisions the fastest is typically going to be the person that gets the best results because that's how you gain the data and the information because you have to take so much action and have so many iterations in order to be successful. Whereas in your personal life, that's where you have glass balls. Most of the
Mhm.
balls in business are rubber. They can bounce. You can drop them and they can bounce, right? You can pick
Yeah.
them back up again. There's very few things that are glass balls in business. In your personal life, that's your faith, that's your family, that's where you live, that's how make, important and meaningful family choices. Those are the glass balls. Can't mess that up. You drop those balls, they're glass, right?
Mhm.
Your health, right? Your spirituality. your marriage, your relationship with your children. And so I kind of treat decisions in those two categories very differently. One is slow, methodical, a lot of discussion and exploration, and then we make the decision one time. That's it.
Mhm.
And then in business, it's like rapid, it's fast, and it's using the information and data with every decision to then inform the next decision and keep moving forward, making decisions.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for explaining me that
Hmm.
because I'll definitely model your way
Hmm.
in some sort and adopt it to mine. You talk a lot about discipline. Uh, Before I even go deeper into that, I want to ask you where this come from. From childhood, from parents, from you knowing who you want to be, how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways, my parents modeled that and instilled that for me in different
Hmm.
ways, right? So, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked for a nonprofit. That's actually why we were on the poverty line, because my dad worked for a nonprofit and there are 5 kids in my family. So, like, you can do the quick math on that,
Yeah,
um, right? But they modeled discipline in other ways, and I think they instilled that in us very, very well. So, I do think part of that is like, you know molded and grown. But also, for me, because I knew very early in life that I wanted to have a very different life experience than my
hmm,
family and my parents, I've had that discipline since a very young age. That it's kind of like, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I think that when you have that mentality in life, that like you're not waiting for anyone to come in and like fix something for you or change something for you or do something for you, but instead you're getting clear on like what you want to have be do, and then figuring out what action you need to take to do that. It's easy to have discipline when you know what you want and you're willing to do what it takes to get it.
that's beautiful. Because I want to ask you now, for you personally, is it discipline more of a pain or purpose?
Purpose.
100%?
Yeah. 100% purpose. It's to
Beautiful.
me, discipline is just discipline to me is acting and behaving in alignment with what you
Beautiful.
want. That's all. Like, I don't think it's any more complicated than that. And when we don't have discipline, it's when we're out of integrity and we're out of congruence with what we said that we wanted. It's when we're lying to ourselves, right? I talk about this in the Miracle Hour book. The reason why so many entrepreneurs don't have higher levels of success is they say they want this, but
Hmm.
then what they're doing is this. These two
Absolutely.
things are not the same. And when there is incongruence between what you say you want in your life and how you're living your life, then you're not going to have the life that you want. And that applies to our faith, our families, our health, our wellness, our fitness, our relationships, everything, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's beautiful. One of the things when I was looking around you and around your brand and all what you are doing with the social media, I got a feeling that Kelly Roach holds a high standard. And I want to ask you right now, do you think that you're holding a higher standard than most of the people? Or it's simply part of you and you simply feel it like, okay, that's mine. It's just normal for me. It's default.
I absolutely have a higher standard. I mean, you don't like less than 1% of people will ever build a $10 million business. I did that and then I built multiple other companies. I'm building my second 8-figure business now. You
Beautiful.
have to have higher standards in order to do that. And I think having higher standards in life brings a much higher likelihood that you're going to live the life that you desire. When you have low standards, you're constantly tolerating the things that you don't want. When you have high standards, you're constantly pushing yourself to act and be and do in alignment with what you say that you want. So, again, for me, it just comes back to congruence. It's
Hmm.
alignment. Like I say to people, like, listen, if you're going to say that you have a big dream or goal and then you're not going to do the work, like just change the goal. Like don't lie to yourself. So many people are like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to achieve this, I want to earn this money, I want to, but then you look at them and you're like, no. Why are you even saying that? Because there's no congruence between those two things. And so I think the degree to which we live our lives and operate in alignment and in congruence and in integrity with our vision that we have for our lives, the happier we are, and the more that we will see that actually is what becomes of us. You know what I mean?
How do you feel in the moments when you don't meet your standards? Are
Mad
you
at myself.
mad, right? Are you self-criticizing?
Not self-criticizing, but like I very quickly do recognize, I think, a lot of
Hmm.
times when I'm out of congruence and when I'm out of alignment and try to like bring it back. So I'm not going to sit and like I won't sit and like dwell on it. Like I'm not a person that will dwell on it, but I am a person that like I can recognize when I am out of alignment, when I'm out of congruence and be like, okay, I need to like pull it back. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah, I get you fully. I just want to ask you one more thing around that. And that's very beautiful that you're very open speaking on that. And this is, do you ever question if your standards was too high at a certain moment and you just settle for a little below, or you are still trying to touch that point where you believe that it's yours and that you would feel yourself perfectly?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have kind of multiple perspectives on that. I think that I could have higher standards for myself in a lot of areas of my life. Like I actually like I have goals to raise my standards in multiple areas of my life, if that makes sense.
100%?
So I actually still feel like I can do so much better in so many ways. So that's me personally. I feel like I struggle constantly with the standards and expectations that I have for people around me, where, I want to see higher and better standards from them. And it's a constant struggle of like managing your expectations of others and managing your own like feelings about those expectations of others versus what you have full control over, which is yourself, right?
Beautiful. I love to pick your brain on that because this is
Yeah.
the reason. This is the reason why you're creating a businesses of multiple eight figures, and that's extremely beautiful to
Yeah.
see how one woman can operate in the family life and in the business life, achieving absolutely high standards to the both sides. Absolutely beautiful. Kelly, do you believe everybody can be entrepreneur?
No.
That's beautiful. I love it because most of the people whom I ask, they tell me, yeah, it takes time, but yeah, no, I also think so.
It's just not right for most people. It is
Yeah,
not the right thing for most people. I just think it has been so like glamorized and so oversimplified, and most people would be very unhappy being entrepreneurs. I think that there's a reason why there's one entrepreneur and then there's 20, 50, 100 people that work for them because everyone is designed differently. Like everyone has a design by God. And the design of a person who's meant to be an entrepreneur versus the design of the person that's meant to be what I call an intrapreneur, those are two
hmm,
different types of design, both equal, both worthy. But I
100%.
think that everyone's been made to believe that entrepreneurship is the answer. And for most people, they would be completely miserable as an entrepreneur and they could be totally happy as an intrapreneur. And I think that is a distinction that is not discussed often enough. And I feel like a lot of people go into entrepreneurship thinking it's going to be one thing, and then they realize it's something else, and then they lose their self-confidence and they lose their belief in themselves and they lose their kind of fire and passion for success because of the struggles that they face as an entrepreneur. And I just don't think that's the design for every person. Like obviously, like I teach and coach entrepreneurs for a living. Like I love entrepreneurship. I would never choose a different path for myself. However, I've also seen the incredible team members that I have in my company that have been with me for years, that are thriving, that are making great money, that are doing exceptionally well, that are changing their family trees and making a huge difference in the world. And like, I don't think they'd be happy just out there alone. Like my right hand person, Danielle, says all the time, she's like, I don't want to go. She actually had a very successful business before she came and worked for me. She was a client of mine, and she actually 10x'd her business as a client before she became a full-time employee. And she said, I don't want to sit alone all day and just like run a company by myself. I don't want everyone to be my employee. Like she wants to be a part of creating a movement and creating a brand and creating large scale impact in company with others. And this is the part that like doesn't get talked about, that like everyone has a different design. And it's not like one is not better than the other. It's just finding like what that fit is for you.
That's very beautiful and beautifully explained. My question to you right now is, do you think that somehow internet and social media glorify the picture of entrepreneur and kind of like downgraded it so that people believe that they can do it no matter what?
Oh, I absolutely do. I talk about it all the time. I mean, I've
Yeah.
posted like page long rants about it. I think it's so unfair to the new people that are coming up. I think it is so unfair to people that are getting into business for themselves because they have no idea what they're walking into. Because people that make money from glorifying entrepreneurship manipulate people that are becoming business owners into thinking that it's one thing. And so what's happening is people are not mentally prepared to do what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. They
Hmm.
think that being an entrepreneur means they're going to make millions of dollars and they're going to be sitting on the beach and they're going to be, chillaxing,
Yeah,
right?
laptop lifestyle.
I don't know a single successful entrepreneur, not a single successful entrepreneur that does not work harder, longer hours than they ever did as an employee for someone else. Because if you care deeply about what you're doing, it's simply never going to look like that. And you can't have success that way. The business owner is going to be the hardest working person in the business, period. So
Hmm.
people that think they're going to become an entrepreneur and they're going to like have more freedom, no, no.
Love it.
Right? You have freedom from the perspective of decisions, which is great. But for a lot of people, they get decision fatigue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't mind the level of decision, and I've built the capacity to hold the level of decisions that I have to hold for what I do. And I love that. And I was built for it. Like, God designed me for this. But for a lot of people, freedom equates to making so many decisions and requiring such a large capacity that you have to hold for other people. And a lot of people are not designed for that. And so I just think it's important to like level the playing field and for people to know that it's one is not better than the other. They're just different. And it's finding what the best fit is for you to make your dreams come true. And you can make your dreams come true in a lot of different ways.
And you personally, if you think about entrepreneurship in the two sectors, sectors of creating and sectors of maintaining the business, what do you personally like more and what do you more enjoy?
Well, I love creating. I love
Hmm.
selling. I love marketing. I love building the brand. I love teaching. I love all the things that most people really don't like, which is
Hmm.
why I think I was
Boring
built for this. Like
things. Yeah.
the things that most people don't want to have to do, I love. And so that's why it's like it's a natural thing for me. But yeah, I love creating, I love writing, I love recording, I love developing new IP, I love being on camera, I love selling, I love launches, I love what we're doing right now. I love to create, serve, teach, be market facing.
And what is one non-negotiable habit which creates who you truly are when you're creating?
I would say conviction marketing, which is, I wrote a book about it, which is about having, I almost call it like, it's like having a direct line to like your consciousness and creating from like a true place of like your downloads. Like, I think that a lot of people struggle with marketing and with entrepreneurship because they're actually consuming more than they're creating. And so, like, what they're creating is actually tainted by what their peers are doing, what their competitors are doing, what they're seeing on Instagram, what they're seeing on TikTok. I actually don't like consume things online. Like, I don't. watch or listen or do any of that. I like go on social media and I do my stuff for my business and I get back off again. And so I think for me, that's been like a huge part of my journey is like actually creating meaningful IP that is not a replica of anything that anyone else is doing. And that's really important to me, not just from like the integrity of the brand standpoint, but just for like the congruence and the fulfillment of my work. I don't want my work to be tainted.
Mhm. That's very interesting what you're saying here because you recently published a book, The Miracle Hour. And I want to you tell me a little bit more about that. But before you tell me more about that, I want you to tell me what was the message you had in your head that you want to spread with that book? Because the Miracle Hour sounds like, okay, intrigue. What's inside? What's that hour? What's actually about? For us who know who Kelly Roach is, we truly know that it's about business and mindset behind that.
Yeah.
But tell me, what was your message initially to send with the book?
Yeah, it's simplify to multiply. The big
Hmm.
message of the Miracle Hour, and I have had people from around the world going through the audiobook. Obviously, the physical book isn't even out yet, and we've sold thousands of copies already. People, we give instant access to the audiobook. So literally, you buy the book, you get instant access to the audiobook. I recommend everyone that is listening to this conversation go and do that right away. And I've had people just reaching out to me from all over the world saying, like, I feel like you're saying it's like a coming back home again because business has gotten so complicated and so diluted and so overwhelming and so complex. And it's like people have truly like gotten away from the basic foundations of what
Hmm.
makes a business grow. And that's why they're struggling so bad.
A
And so
hundred
the
percent.
Miracle Hour is really about bringing people back to the basic foundations, the fundamentals of how do you build relationships and how do you make sales predictable and consistent in your business every single day. And it is so simple. Anyone can do it. Anyone can put it in place in their business today. It doesn't matter whether you're a sales rep, you're a leader in a company, you're a CEO, you're a small business owner. And it's just about giving people a simple system to organize, monetize, and multiply the opportunity that they already have, the leads that they already have, the relationships that they already have. And also, it's a human first, heart to
Hmm.
heart, soul to soul approach to doing and growing business. Not everyone, myself included, not everyone wants to have 50 AI agents and AI twins and AI simulations and AI and AI and AI. I actually care about what I'm doing. I'm actually not looking to outsource my brain, my content, my consciousness, my teachings, my IP. I actually do not want AI between me and the market. And so
Beautiful.
not everyone, although that it's every third post on social media right now is if you don't AIify your business, you're going to be left behind and you're not going to win and blah, blah, blah. It's so not true. People buy from people.
And not only do
Relationships,
they buy like this from the period of first human because the first trade ever was done probably stone for a meat or whatever. So
yep, a
the,
hundred
the,
percent.
that's a
People buy from
principle.
people. And the number one deciding factor of someone buying is trust. Trust is the currency of sales. And trust is built human to human. Period. End of story. And so I also wrote this book because I wanted to give people a tool and mechanism for building a multi-million dollar business. One that will give them back their time because they can be making sales in an hour a day. Two, that gives them a exit plan and an insurance policy in the AI driven world that we're moving into for people that maybe don't want to sit there and make their whole life and their whole business about AI. And then three, it's really just about cash confidence, consistency in sales, predictability, having a simple system that allows you to monetize all the work that you've been doing for years and years and years by turning opportunity into cash in the bank.
That's very beautiful. If you think right now uh, about your book, whom would you recommend it to take it right away? And what would be your, as an author, ideas how to people handle the book?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that wants to grow their business needs to read this book. Like anyone that wants to grow their business more quickly. If you're sitting and listening to this show today and you're like, oh, we have all the sales that we want, we're growing as fast as we want, we don't need any help with sales, it's not for you. If you're sitting here listening to this today and you'd like your business to grow faster, you want more sales coming in, you want more consistency, you want faster growth, then this book is for you. And the way that the book is designed is there are charts and graphs and examples and questions and exercises. We lead you through. By the time you're done reading the physical book, you already have made money from the book. It's so easy and so simple. And we give you so many ideas for how to take action that, like, you have to not want to succeed. You have to
That's
refuse to want to succeed to not be able to know how to monetize this book.
That's very beautiful. And in the name of somebody who love what you're doing, I want to thank you for creating such a book because I believe that now it's probably the right time and the most needed such a book
Yes.
when everybody's speaking about AI.
It
Uh,
is the miracle hour moment. It is the miracle hour moment. It is the
abs-
moment for the miracle hour. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And with respect to your time and to not turn this podcast into the masterclass because you are such a beautiful speaker who like to share everything, I want to ask you two things. First thing, you're having a child. I, as I mentioned, am father of a 9-year-old boy. What do you think that we as an entrepreneurs should focus mostly when it comes to teaching our kids in order to they do not have sort of limiting beliefs we had and to not pull up something from their childhood what will later on keep their back and not let them succeed in their life on their own?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a foundation in the Bible and a foundation in Christian principles is the number one thing because abundance is human created, right?
Hmm.
I mean, abundance is God created. So everything in the Bible is going to give them the life plan. It's going to give them the right mindset. It's going to give them the way to go, right? And so I think giving that foundation really does give them a firm footing to stand on. But, I work with Madison every week. She's just finishing the book Mistakes That Made Me a Millionaire by Kim Perrell. We did Rich Dad,
Beautiful.
Poor Dad. There's so many tools and resources and books and YouTube videos and opportunities for us to instill an unstoppable mindset in our kids. And oh, actually, I'll just share this with you because you can put it in the show notes below the show. I just made an entire guide of like tools and resources, books and recommendations that I have for parents that, want to instill the right beliefs and mindset and strategies with their kids to make them successful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. The very last one is that I centered this podcast around inside out topic. I'm trying to discover with all the guests what is for them and in their mind one thing inside of every entrepreneur which must be shown to outward and create success. What is for you inside out?
Mm. Well, I think that as leaders, we are stewards and champions of other people's success. Like to me, that's what sales is all about, is stewarding other people to success. So I think it's creating in a way that you call people up to their highest
Hmm.
potential. And I think that's a non-negotiable, is that like it's not about you. It's about what you help other people to see is possible for them. And that I think is a non negotiable.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. Is there anything I haven't asked you and you would like to share with our audience right now?
No, I mean, I think this was a beautiful, compelling conversation. I hope everyone
Thank you.
got some big mindset shifts and breakthroughs. And I think the next step is grab your copy of the Miracle Hour book, get started on the audiobook and start taking everything we talked about today and put it into action.
Absolutely, and they can find it in the description area of this podcast. Kelly Roach, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure hosting you today and speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.